we are at the Knox County Agenda Review. This is an optional review meeting for commissioners. There are no votes that are taken here. Just making sure I got my stuff together, I'm sorry. All right.
I got it right here too.
Perfect. Do we have any items that commission are wanting to pull for discussion? Commissioner Hill?
Madam Chair, I'd like to review quickly items 7 and 8, and then also item 29, please.
Thank you. So make sure everybody heard that. That was items 7, 8, and 29 by Commissioner Hill. I'm going to give everybody time to catch up here for a second.
29.
29. 7, 8, and 29. Are you on the right? You were on the mock, probably. That's what I was on. Ew, it's been a day.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
When we get to section F, our honorary resolutions, I don't want to pull those. I just want to discuss how we are going to approach those,
Okay.
since there are 5.
Yes. So we will discuss honorary resolutions of how we're going to proceed with that because we will have 5. So that will be a busy one. Okay. I'll give everybody another minute or two just to look over, and I'm sorry, we just came out of mock training for all of our new commissioners, so everybody's trying to kind of get organized here. Do I?
Take long to get 7 and 29.
Not at all. All right. Commissioner, oh, no. Okay. All right, to remind everybody, we've got 7, 8, and 29. Does any commissioners want to add any other items to be discussed? All right. I will then turn it over to Commissioner Hill for number 7.
Thank you. I'm actually addressing items 7 and 8 collectively here.
Okay.
This is the closing of a portion of Lobetti Road. Before I begin, I see several people out here that are in support of this closure. Is there anyone out there that's in opposition to it?
It's agenda.
It's not lining up.
Well, that's
I'm
what
not
I've got.
seeing anyone. Mr. Guard, unless you or anyone in your group would like to specifically address this today, I feel inclined to just go ahead and postpone it to next week, or not postpone it, but no point in having you all speak now and then again next week. So, but the floor is yours if you have any interest, any of you, in speaking to it. I do have 4 residents here. 4, is that right? It looks like that are 6 that are in support of this closure, especially on number 8. Commissioners, I would really encourage you, please, to go out and look at this specific road closure here before next week, if you could. It's we've got some pictures, but it's a little bit difficult to actually explain. 6, thank you. We have 6 people. Stand up. I'm so excited. Look, I have 6 people that came to Agenda Workshop to try to help me support this. And again, I asked them to come because I did not know if opposition would be here again, because they they were last month, so I was trying to be prepared. So if there's no questions, and you all don't care to say anything, I'll just hold this until next week, and you all can go home. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Hill, I wanted to say those are actually items 48 and 49.
What am I looking at here?
Well, I had the same thing. I think we just had we had a different
All right.
one that we were looking at, but
We're-
that's
we're
48 and
still-
49.
We're still moving on. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you all for coming. And we need to pull item number 31 for Commissioner Jay.
Plus 33 and through 35.
33 and 35, okay.
Mr. Guard, thank you all, really, thank you so much. I know that was a haul for you. We'll see you next Monday, please.
31 and then 33 through 35.
And remember, Commissioner Hill
And
wants
29.
29.
Yep.
Commissioner Hill.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Hill, we will go to item 29.
Thank you, and I do have an agenda that was printed a couple of days ago.
I did too, so, yeah,
I'm a little off on that.
that's okay, we're fine. World's not gonna end.
Thank you. Looking at this agenda item, this was a reappointment that I made when I was still chair, or approved to have come before commission. Am I reading the right one? Oh,
Which number is that?
okay, wait a minute. Resolution, doesn't, I don't even have the resolution number.
It's number 16.
16. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna get everybody back on board.
I
We've got
apologize.
numbers, you're fine, number 16, number 31, 33 through 35, 48, and 49. Did everybody get that?
No.
Madam Chair, could you
Let's
repeat
do it one more,
that?
I'll do it one more time. 16, 31, 33 through 35, 48, and 49. Is that right?
That's right. You say 16.
And 16?
You said that.
Yes.
I was using your mock meeting.
I know, well, that's what I was using, Commissioner Hill, and like I say, it's okay. All right. Do we have any other items to pull while we're on this before we get into the
Section F, honorary resolutions.
section F?
Sure.
And so section F will also be discussing. We're not going to necessarily pull those. We're just going to talk about how we're going to do 5 resolutions. So, okay? All right. So Commissioner Hill, you are on number 16.
All right, thank you. And before I address 16, as a courtesy, could someone tell me where the Lobetti Road, the one I was just talking about, was? Because 48 and 49, to you new commissioners, the ones that were looking at or maybe you weren't, but 48 and 49 are the ones on this agenda. Was the road closure right before, when I had my folks here to address, that I had asked you to please, if you have a chance to get out and look at that before we vote next week, I'd really appreciate it, because there will be some opposition here to that also. So now that we're back. Item 16, this is a resolution reappointing John Valiant for the Knox County Sheriff's Department Employee Merit System Board of Directors. This was one that I had added to the agenda while I was still chair. I do know that the commission has an option to either reappoint this person, or applications can be taken and we can go through the appointment process again. My personal feeling was that because Mr. Valiant had done a very good job and been very faithful in his duties, that there was no reason not to reappoint him, but I did understand that there might be some opposition to this. So Mr. Valiant is out there today, and unless someone else would like to speak first, I'll leave that to the chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Do we have any discussions before we ask Mr. Valiant to come up to the podium? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Valiant, if you'd like to come up, give your name and address for the record, please. Make sure you hit the button to turn your mic on. It may take a minute, yeah. There you go. There you go, you're on.
All right. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for your time, Madam Chair. I am before you all today asking for all of your consideration in my reappointment to
Name and address, please. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Name is John Valiant. Address is 6705 Creekhead Drive, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37909. I'm here before you today asking for all of your all's thoughtful consideration in my reappointment to the County Merit Council. Before you today, I know there are a lot of materials that you all may be aware of or may become aware of in the coming days, weeks, or months. And so I am asking that I be reappointed, that I've executed my duties faithfully in that volunteer capacity, and that the Merit Council and that the Sheriff's Office are better places because of the time and energy that I put into that position. Through my time there, we have expanded or re-expanded the opportunities for employees to file grievable offenses if they lose pay. We've taken on a lot of different issues. We've heard, I think, 3, possibly 4 grievances over the time period that I've been sitting, and really given each one a lot of thoughtful consideration in every instance. It's my position that I am the best candidate and will continue to be the best candidate for this role. I think that I've brought a role of and a thought process of critical thinking and really have tried not to come to the table and just rubber stamp. I've made sure that every single opportunity I have, I'm challenging notions and asking questions and making sure that everybody is aware of every single piece of the law and how it applies to the Merit Council. One of the things that I'm sure you'll become aware of, and I want to give everybody an opportunity to ask any questions, I have filed a lawsuit against the county, okay? And I know several of you are aware of that already, and in that lawsuit against the county, I have asked for declaratory judgment that one of the Merit Council rules, policies, and procedures and an ordinance be struck down as unconstitutional, specifically the one pertaining to members of the Merit Board and their political activity. I bring with me today 11 copies of the documents that have been filed in the courts. These are all publicly available, so you are able to get a copy if you so choose through the court system, but I brought one for your convenience, as well as another publicly available analysis. This is available for any and all individuals. We have several analyses by the Attorney General on the matter, as well as some court cases for your thought, consideration, and review. In reappointing me, I do understand that the primary contention against my reappointment probably would be, well, if you've sued the county in this position, why should we reappoint you? And I can answer that question by saying, once again, I think if you want somebody who's going to think critically about the position that you've put them in and to really thoroughly review the policies, procedures, and the laws surrounding each decision made, then I'm the right candidate for that sort of a role. However, if you're looking for somebody to rubber stamp and push forward an agenda, I'd say I probably am not the right candidate for the role. Above all, the purpose of the lawsuit is ensuring that all of our country's and counties' constitutional freedoms are enforced. That is, first and foremost, the most important thing that anybody can do. I know several new commissioners here. I see several new faces that were not here the last time I came up and had the opportunity to speak before you all. I do want to give you all the opportunity to form your own opinions on the matter, though. And then, of course, if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me directly, or you can feel free to reach out to, anybody else. I guess, are there any questions for me surrounding my time in office or my time in my position or any other matter for that
Thank you.
matter?
Thank you, Mr. Valiant. Commissioner Lee?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Valiant, are you going to pass those out? You said you had 11 copies. Are you going to pass them out?
I'm happy to pass them out. I know this is an elected board. I didn't know if there was an appropriate person that wanted to do it. Typically when I'm up here in civil sessions court, there's typically
let you
someone that
come
does it.
out.
I'm happy to do it myself if you allow it.
would you
Okay.
get
If we
those?
could get those, I would appreciate it. Also, not sure, is it, Mr. Law Director? Okay.
Here he is.
What is the term typically for this? Is this done yearly? Or, this resolution is to appoint him to 2027. Is that typical?
I believe it's, I guess it's a 3-year term. I think you appointed originally what year?
2 years ago.
So,
Now, I know that in the most recent series of changes to the ordinance, I believe staggered terms were enacted as a part of that. So I know that I think I might have a 2-year term. I think there are some individuals with 3-year terms, and there might be one individual with a 1-year term. I'm not quite sure on that. So one thing I will note about this was not filed without thought, and it was not hastily filed. I did go through the proper channels. I did go through and exhaust all of my administrative remedies. We went before, as a part of the Merit System Board of Directors, we created a subcommittee to research the issue, went through the issue, discussed it, determined that it needed to be repealed within our subcommittee, took it to the Merit Council, determined at the Merit Council that it needed to be repealed, took it before County Commission in December. County Commission, I think, if I recall correctly, voted 6-5 to maintain and keep that ordinance in place. So unfortunately, the only next step available was the next step, which is asking a court to declare it unconstitutional.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. Do we have any other questions for Mr. Valiant?
I do.
Commissioner Hill?
Thank you. Mr. Valiant, for the new commissioners, you are an attorney, is that correct?
Yes.
And when we interviewed you and you were asked these questions about this specific item, were you in fact clear about how you felt then in its unconstitutionality and stated, just tell us what did you state then when you were questioned?
Yes, at the time, I had a handful of positions, and the positions really were pretty simple. So, from the top down, our First Amendment states that all individuals in this country, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, abridging freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. One of the tenets of free speech is political association, and it has been interpreted as such. Now, the Tennessee Constitution mirrors that language, or it has something very similar. Now, Section 8 of the Tennessee Constitution discusses that the legislature shall have no power to suspend any general law for the benefit of any particular individual, nor to pass any law for the benefit of individuals inconsistent with the general laws of the land. going a little bit further, I believe the justification for this has been the Hatch Act, and the Little Hatch Act specifically, which is a subsection that's been passed in Tennessee. Now, there has been several Attorney General opinions and several court cases which have analyzed this issue. Actually, very specifically, they have analyzed this issue with regards to the Merit Council, not this Merit Council, but Merit Councils in other states. And in those analyses, it has been found that the Hatch Act really has to do with employees. You can restrict the political activity of employees. However, you can't restrict the political activity of those in volunteer positions in the government. And in fact, the case, and I think you might find a mention of it on page 4. At the bottom of page 4 in the packet, you will find the case that I'm referring, where there was a lawyer who was a legal advisor. Oh, excuse me. No, it might be at the top of page 6. Oh, no, excuse me. No, it is at the bottom of page 4, but it's under subsection number 4, where there was a member of a city housing authority who was not paid and who carried on a private law practice. It was properly found to be principally employed in private employment and was therefore not subject to the provisions of the Hatch Act. So very specifically, we do have case law that speaks to that point, that this would be an unreasonable, overly broad, and unduly burdensome restriction on political activity. And that's really ultimately what this comes down to, is this is a matter of, is it constitutional or not?
And you made this clear, your status about this when you were before us 3 years ago. And we knew that, and we voted to take you anyway, right?
Well, so in the initial, so 2 years ago, I initially interviewed. There were several candidates who interviewed that had brought this to Commission's attention. I believe one one Steve Weiner, he was one of the individuals that came before. And he had brought this to the attention of the Commission as well. And so this has been brought up. And in fact, I tell you, I won't name drop, but this action has been reviewed by several members of the legal community, blessed by several members of the legal community, including former employees of the law director's office. I won't drop any names, though.
Right.
All blessed on all have said that there is legitimate grounds for this, and that it's not some frivolous attempt at anything more than, making sure that we are following the Constitution as it's written.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Lee?
Oh, okay. I have a question. Being a lawyer, I'm all for being able to go to court and litigate something, but I have a question. Is the fact that Mr. Valiant wants to be on the Sheriff's Office Merit System Board of Directors and also filing a lawsuit against the county, is that a conflict?
No. No. We constantly have employees who are in litigation with the county over workers' comp matters or other things. I don't believe it is a conflict. He has the right to assert litigation and still serve on this board. We're defending this lawsuit in federal court, and we maintain the same position we've maintained since the ordinance was passed, that it is constitutional and enforceable, and we'll deal with that in federal court. But I don't believe it presents a legal conflict for him to continue to serve on the Merit Council.
And I know that the attorney fees were part of this. Do we have just a ballpark guess of what the attorney fees could run?
Oh, well, let me say this about that. I really don't want to discuss the litigation here. I will tell you that unless the law has changed, generally speaking, a self-represented person cannot get attorney's fees in a civil rights case. Now, maybe there's some case law that's happened since that has changed that, but as far as I'm aware, a pro se party cannot get attorney's fees in a civil rights action. So, and in this particular case, Mr. Valiant is a pro se party. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Valiant, did you volunteer to serve on this Merit System Board under the governing ordinance presented to you at the time?
Yes.
Have you served on the Merit Board under the ordinance since then?
Yes.
Have you followed the ordinance in your duties?
Yes.
If reappointed, will you continue to voluntarily serve on this board under the ordinance as it is currently in place?
As it is currently in place, and unless changed, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, thank you, Mr. Valiant. Every commissioner has copies of what Mr. Valiant handed out. If you would like to speak to him personally, you can give him a call before next Monday, and we will hear this. Otherwise, I appreciate you answering questions and explaining it. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next item, we will go to number 31, and that was pulled for Commissioner Jay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item number 31, I wanted to provide some context to you all. This is a project that is really the second or third step in a long project related to mental health in Knox County. In my very first year as a commissioner, that would have been 2018, I, along with all of our fellow commissioners, were invited to a sort of an open public forum about mental health crises in Knox County. That included the DA, the sheriff, every provider, commissioners, other elected officials, mayors, and it was sort of a beginning discussion. At that, it was clear that really the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing, and several providers were in the same space but didn't understand, the overlap. There were lots of suggestions of we should do this, we should do that, and we were doing this and doing that, and the DA didn't necessarily know what McNabb was doing. McNabb didn't know what the sheriff was involved. It was a lot of disconnected parties, and everybody kind of realized that during the session. From that came a discussion of what does mental health look like in our county. And fast forward a few years later, every party came together and developed the first annual State of Mental Health Report in Knox County, along with a partnership with the Mental Health Association of East Tennessee. And it was a way for us to all kind of better understand who we were, what we were talking about, and who were the players. From that, the mayor supported great participation from our health department, who took the lead and then created a sort of more enhanced state of mental health in Knox County. I'll provide you all a copy of that if you don't already have it. It was a great way for us to understand sort of the basics. When we talk about mental health, how many people are we talking about? What does it look like? What are the trends? To better educate and inform us so that we could start managing and tackling, these big, very, very big issues. From that, it still seemed to be a missing piece, which is if somebody has a mental health crisis or a situation, where do they start? Where do they go? Who does what? What does the hospital in Middlebrook do? What do they provide that's different from the BHUC, which is different from the urgent care empath, which is different from Peninsula, which is different from UT Medical Center, which is different from private providers? There's still a lot of sort of a missing map, if you will, a site map of what does mental health look like. This is that piece. It's called an environmental scan, and what they will do, and I'm happy to invite our team up if you want to come fill in the gaps after I try to bust through this. This environmental scan will literally go through a very forensic process with people that are trained kind of in auditing and details to go out and do an environmental scan of all of Knox County to decide to determine what do we have available to us for mental health, what do we not, where are we missing, on a granular level all the way to the big picture, so that then we can come back and put all the parties together again and say, hey, did you realize 6 of you are doing the exact same thing, but nobody's doing something over here? Did we realize that if somebody didn't have insurance, they only have 2 options, but if you have insurance, you have 19 options? Let's start tackling that. if we need mental health in populations that are usually underserved or underrepresented, what do we look like that? How does it fit with the schools? It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle to figure out where are the missing pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, and it will be a great tool for us to then say, okay, how do we start putting the rest of the pieces in? Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Okay, if you would introduce yourself and tell us who you are and the new commissioners and sort of fill in the gaps that I didn't.
Kevin Parton, Knox County Health Department. So really inside of this, this project, you'll have 3 deliverables. The first is the scan, the environmental scan, and what that was going to look like is it's going to basically attempt to poll all of our providers inside of Knox County, looking at demographics, service type, do they have beds? If so, how many? Do they take insurance? Do they not? What's their wait list time look like? How do you get referred? Area of expertise, and then do they serve any special populations? And then there'll be a needs assessment that comes with that. So with our population and its growth, what do we actually need here in Knox County to serve those that are around us? And then finally, their last deliverable, they're going to create an interactive tool that we can post, hopefully, that you can kind of go down the list and check where you fit, and it will show you your options within our area. So it's about a 13-month process is what it's going to look like.
Ultimately, that will be presented back to us, and I will say this, that the other provider, all of the providers that we worked with through the first step and the second step are very on board with this third step. From the private providers to the public providers to the hospitals to the agencies that we work with, I can't tell you how rare it is to get everybody on the same page for anything, but they're all excited about this because they want to know as well, and nobody's ever done this. So I give kudos to the health department for really pulling everybody together on the same page. So with that, I'll happy to answer any questions, but I appreciate everybody's support on this.
Thank you, Commissioner Jay. Thank you, Mr. Parton. Commissioner Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question, Mr. Parton. I do a lot of indigent defense.
Yes.
How will this impact the mental health needs of people before our courts that are indigent and have mental health issues?
I don't necessarily know that it will impact them. More so, it will identify how large it is and then the resources that we have as a county to provide those resources.
So this is just an assessment? It's not
Yes.
really...
It won't necessarily add providers. It will give us access to say, we need more providers in this particular arena, perhaps work with our chamber partners or our hospital partners to try to recruit that into our area.
Okay. And do we have a cost with this, or?
It's around $425,000.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a grant to pay for that, though. So.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions?
Just
Commissioner Jay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Parton, could you please provide everybody, send it to the commission office for the mailbox as a copy of that mental health assessment that you all, the state of Knox County's
Yes,
mental health
absolutely.
report. Just give us all, even if we already got it before, give everybody a fresh
Absolutely.
copy.
No
Thank you
problem.
very much.
Okay, great. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. All right, seeing no other questions on that. Number 33 was also added for Commissioner Jay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 33, 34, and 35, I wanted to ask if our Director of Parks and Rec, sorry, I can't turn my head all the way over there. Mr. Mack, obviously, it seems like maybe all 3 of these are, 33 and 34, not 35. I apologize if I,
Okay, so we just want 33 and 34?
33 and 34 seem
Okay.
to be fairly connected, and I wondered if you could just provide some context as to some of the challenges that you've had.
Good afternoon. Joseph Mack, Senior Director of Parks and Recreation for Knox County, 2447 Sutherland Avenue. The context behind these 2 policy updates and changes, let me start, I guess, with 33, which is us moving away from user agreements to user permits. Permits will be done on an annual basis as opposed to, in the past, we have done user agreements for multiple years. The user permits will allow us to assist with things like ensuring that all of the youth organizations are properly completing their background screenings, that the administrations themselves are receiving National Alliance of Youth Sports training. The coaches are also receiving that training. We have a number of how many players are registered in the county. Basically, this user permit is about reporting and training and making sure that those individuals that do have a valid user permit have met all the requirements. Those requirements also ensure that they all have certificates of insurance with Knox County listed as an additional insurer on it. So there's several things that go into the user permit, and we're just basically trying to keep a better handle on all of the requirements for the people that are utilizing these spaces. For those of you who may or may not know, these 501Cs, with the exception of AYSOs, have been utilizing these spaces for quite a number of years at no cost. We have been doing all of the maintenance, which includes mowing in and outside of the fences, any repairs that need to be done. And again, some of these 501c3 organizations have been utilizing the facilities for years. We just want to make sure that the actual 501c3 is intact. They still have their requirements from a tax-free perspective, and that everyone involved that is in contact with a child is properly screened.
That's great. Yeah, I know that's a big job. Do we have any questions for Director Mack? Seeing none, I'm sure the new commissioners will get
Madam
to
Chair.
know you. Commissioner Fox?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a few questions. What, Director Mack, what led to the decision to move away from user agreements to a permit format?
So the user agreements were lengthy, and they were for multiple years. So it kind of, this allows us to track programming, but also track the individual 501c3s on an annual basis. What we were running into is some folks were letting their 501c3 eligibilities lapse, and they were no longer 501c3s. And if we move it to an annual basis, we can keep better control over that. And at the very least, remind them that, hey, you need to make sure that you are still an active 501c3.
With respect to the Bauer Field facility, is there anything different about that particular facility because it's not owned by the county that impacts the user agreement versus county or a permit approach?
It doesn't. We treat the Bauer Field folks the exact same way because we do pay the annual leasing cost to lease the field from the Thunder Mountain LLC folks. So we bring the Bauer Field folks into the same program with the rest of the community parks. Sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Director Mack.
Thank you.
And that was it for you, right, Commissioner Jay? Okay. We now move on to Section F for honorary resolutions. Let me say, we've already talked about Commissioner Hill's 48 and 49 when we were on the wrong numbers, but we've already talked about Low Betty, so I want to make sure. And so this is for Commissioner Durrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to discuss how we want to approach this, since they are all our full commission. Typically, when we do bring forward our honorary resolutions, there is a singular sponsor who will then read the resolution. Are we going to read all 5 resolutions? How are we going to approach this?
I had thought about that. Thank you, Commissioner Durrett. Commissioner Jay, would you like to go ahead and then I'll, okay. I had thought about possibly, and this is just thinking about it, so I want everybody's opinion, that you may want to do Commissioner Lundy and Commissioner Jackson do Commissioner Ward. And so each new commissioner out of that district do that resolution. So I'm up for any thoughts on that, though. Commissioner Jay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I ask, are the resolutions different because they cite different, and this is a question really for, I think, Drusilla in our office, because they cite different accomplishments or different committees, or are they the same?
I can't answer that because Jill has not posted the resolutions. You would have to talk to Jill.
They are not identical. They're not cut and paste. They are somewhat personalized.
Okay.
So I'm open to any suggestion. Or Commissioner Rawls. It should have been you, not Commissioner Durrett.
We realize that.
I apologize. Y'all
Well,
are
I
sitting too
do
close
think
to each
too,
other.
though, Madam Chair, that maybe like, for instance, I would like to take Commissioner Daley's just because he was the first person I worked with.
Right.
And I have a long relationship with him.
Right.
So I think if
I think anybody who wants to,
Yeah.
just let me know and we'll put that down.
if it's okay with the, Ninth District Commissioner,
Okay.
I'd take that one.
All right, let's do that. So let's put down, for number 46, that will be Commissioner Jay that will present. Commissioner Rawls, are you wanting to do for Commissioner Lundy?
I stole it from him.
Okay, we're going to do that for Commissioner Durrett. And I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to steal your thunder on that. We have Kyle Ward. Shane is not here, but I would assume that's probably fine. We will double check with him. Commissioner Schoonmaker, would you like to do Commissioner Schoonmaker? All right, that's going to be Commissioner Frazier. And Commissioner Beeler.
I would like to do Commissioner Beeler.
Commissioner Beeler, okay. Perfect. So let me go back over that. For Commissioner, or for Dacia Lundy will be Commissioner Durrett. For Kyle Ward will be Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Schoonmaker will be Commissioner Frazier. For Richie Beeler will be Rhonda Lee. And for Carson Daly would be Larson J. Is that right? Perfect. All right. Okay. Do we have anything else for discussion? If not, we will adjourn this agenda review meeting.